Today's episode is brought to you by Crescent Plumbing Supply. We've been talking about this amazing team for a while, and you know your kitchen and bath aren't fixing themselves. But from now through the end of the year, you can take advantage of a 5% discount on your purchases from Crescent by simply saying podcast. Soccer Dad Pod, to be exact. Just mentioning our name will literally save you big bucks. You're welcome. 6614 Olive. It's time to go shopping. St. Louis Ambush season is right around the corner. And joining us to talk about the upcoming season, league changes, tryouts, his own path, and so much more, fan favorite Corey Adamson. The M2 head coach and adopted St. Louis son, Corey peels back the onion on how the team is built, the relationship to TST, and the potential of what's just around the corner. Go to the Ambush's webpage to get your ticks for the upcoming season, and let's go. It's that time, man.
Nirvana?
Nirvana.
Yeah. Say something.
Yep.
That's an easy one, though.
It is. Soccer Dad Pod time. Joining you today, hosts of the day are yours truly, Gen Xer JB. Close to Gen X. What are you technically? Are you millennial?
I don't know. I don't follow that. I'm just me, dude. I'm just awesome. I don't do the whole Gen X stuff.
You should. Because you need identity besides just me. That's not a thing.
Okay. Okay.
Soccer Dad Pod, you guys have been killing it. Thank you so much for listening. Numbers are up. So I don't know if we're like kind of strumming some chords with you here, some heartstrings, or if we just beat you down to the point where now you just listen no matter what. Whatever it is, thank you for listening. Quick thank you to a little support/sponsor, Crescent Plumbing Supply. We got a code coming. We've been telling people for a long time, you know, hey, go there, fix your stuff. Your kids are dirty little devils, and your bathroom needs a facelift. Your kitchen needs a facelift, laundry room, all that stuff. Well, guess what now? If you're a Soccer Dad Pod fan, if you give them a code called, simply take a guess. What's the safe word to get discount over at Crescent Plumbing Supply?
Soccer Dad Pod.
Close. Podcast. Yeah, really creative.
Do they sell appliances? Do they sell refrigerators?
No.
Okay.
Plumbing gear, finishes, fixtures.
All right.
But what I didn't realize is I talked to him, like it's also like the little you just need a toilet fix, or you need a new P-trap, or whatever it is, right? Go in there. So instead of walking down the big box aisle with some dude in an orange vest that really has no clue what PVC means or
doesn't mow his own yard.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we're right. With shears. Go to Crescent. 6614 Olive. Thank you so much for supporting the show. A lot of stuff going on just in the world, period. But it brings us to your name here. Points of the day. I should get a jingle on top of that.
Yeah, I think we should get some sort of
little clown
tagline, a little bit that just here it comes. But I will go first, and I'm usually the oddball guy that doesn't do anything related to soccer, but I will do something related to soccer. I think it'll come out probably that morning, this episode. But I need to mention our college game. St. Louis University, SIU, Lindenwood, all these D1 programs around here, and there's a lot of D2 ones that you can hit too. But this weekend is a big weekend for all of them. September 28th, Saturday.
Oh, yeah. I know.
SLU has a home game. Loyola from Chicago comes in. That's, I think, Stelzer's old bunch. I mean, they're
Amsterdam Tavern's very own Matthew Stelzer.
So there's that game. I know the SLU Billikens, they need a win. I think they can get a win with that schedule. But go out and see them. The support would be much appreciated by Kevin and the actual university itself. But here's another interesting game this weekend. It's in Edwardsville. It's at Ralph Corte Stadium.
That's the one that I'm interested in.
Lindenwood at SIUE this weekend, Saturday.
Lindenwood's been getting results too.
They have been. I think Mr. Birch, ex-Pat of St. Louis University, He's got them cooking a little bit. One could argue that their schedule's not great, but they're going to play a hammer. SIU can play. Yeah. And that's going to be, we're going to figure out where Lindenwood is on the map after Saturday.
Well, we were talking about this pre-red light, looking at some of the programs that we know personally, the coaches, friends of the show, or have been guests on the show. And then, programs of just kind of paying attention to, not that struggle is a very strong word, especially when you're, less than a month into the season, but you could say slight struggle. And in talking to a few of them, they're like, look, one in particular in the Big Ten was like, Big Ten stacked. Yeah. There's not a bad team right now. So, parity's everywhere. Everybody's getting better. So at the end of the day, kids, if you're listening, train more. Which actually kind of brings me to your name here point of the day. I go down the rabbit hole of some of these social media groups, Facebook groups in particular, that are like called the soccer parent lifestyle. And I mean, they're big groups. We're talking 20, 30, 40,000 members. And it's just kind of, the majority of it is just funny. Because now that Zucks has allowed everybody to post anonymous member, so now you can put a post out there, and if you click the button anonymous, then they don't know who you are. So you just see all these anonymous members putting up questions like, my daughter was fouled 18 times in the game this weekend against her old team. Do you think it was intentional? And that's the that's the kind of shit they put out there. But what caught my attention was a lot of parents trying to dig into NCAA rules changes, the roster limitations, the scholarship increase, and not even so much like the X's and O's of what that really looks like, because each school is going to have to go through their own process, as you well know, to determine, okay, how many scholarships are real. 28 is just the limit. They might only have 2 to offer.
Yeah, what is our budget like realistically?
Yeah, but the other part of the equation, the bigger side of it, I believe, is the roster limit. Where they're putting the cap at 28. Now that is kind of that's a bigger issue in my opinion, because you do have a lot of programs, big programs, that tend to roster 30 plus.
IU.
Yeah, up to 40 in the case of like an IU. And, when you look at that, it's kind of like, okay, what does that mean? And where this is all stemming from, you have parents and commentators, right, that are saying, well, my son or my daughter just got a decommit phone call from the coach, and this is all bullshit, and et cetera. And I kind of had my own little aha moment, and that is, If coaches are now calling these graduating seniors or juniors and they're decommitting these offers or taking it away, what does that tell you based on the roster limit? That's a quiz question.
Oh, you're asking me, so I thought you were just going to ask the question and then answer.
I want to make this a little bit of a kind of like a pickleball exchange here. Not too hard, but a little athletic.
What it tells me is that person they're calling and decommitting were on the bubble anyway, so they probably weren't going to get much playing time.
Bingo.
In a roster that had no numbers on it.
Exactly. That was kind of where, reading some of it this morning, I'm finally like, well, this is really kind of dumb. Okay, so if you're being decommitted, that means that in the eyes of the coach and this staff, you are not good enough to come into a program and be one of the top 28 players. They're telling you that if you were to come here, you're 29 or below.
You're redshirting at best.
Right, you hope, right?
Yeah.
So what does that really mean? You probably, if soccer was your goal as it pertains to college, you probably picked the wrong school.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because if you're not at least in the conversation as an incoming freshman to go to a program where they believe that you are good enough to be rated within their top 28, when they can only start 11 and they can only roster 18 per game or whatever that limit is, which means they're going to be subbing 5 to 6 players per game, you're on the outside looking in. So I think this might be one of those things that everybody's getting really upset at the decommit process or what's going on out in the market. But that might be a blessing in disguise, because your kid is now officially being told they were realistically never going to see the field.
I think it's interesting, and we mentioned the program IU, and I don't want to speak for them because, like, I and sit here and act like I know, but like one of the interesting numbers, like when the rosters do come down to whatever size we're talking about, 28 in this aspect, Roman Celentano is the goalie for FC Cincinnati, Pat Noonan's team, Indiana alum. He went to Indiana. He redshirted his freshman year there.
Yeah.
So, and it was not an injury redshirt. So, in a scenario where Indiana may have had 35 to 35 plus on the roster, and they were limited in his era to 28, does he even make the roster?
Yeah,
it's just I mean, it's a what if that nobody will ever know the answer, but it's goofy.
Well, we talk about it all the time, kind of like how do you like deal with you as a player or you as parents, the generic you, how do you deal with kind of knowing your place, right? And I'm going to go back to our conversation with your alma mater's current coach, Mr. Seabolt, in talking about kids that do or don't come to the program or who he does or doesn't offer scholarships to. He remember his comment. His comment was quite simply, if you're good enough, we'll take you.
Yeah.
And if you're not, if he believes you're not going to benefit the team and or play, well, they're not going to give you an offer.
Yeah.
So I think that the byproduct of all this is there's a whole bunch of reality checking going on. And these kids via social media / parents / club / high school or whoever's giving them the confidence or the belief that they are a power conference player when they're not good enough to make the top 28. Well, you're not. So
yeah, I agree.
So that's our Debbie Downer point of the day. You're not that good, kids. What else you got? You got another your name here. I know you got one.
I do have a one that's not soccer related. Festivals, fairs, festivals, October, September, October. We're going into the fall here. We've mentioned it on the show. Explore St. Louis is a friend of the show. If you can't find a fair or festival to go to this time of year with the weather changing, you're not looking in the right spots. A week from this weekend, a week from the games that we mentioned in my first point.
What's the dates? So that the people that listen,
the 28th is this Saturday. So then that being said, the next Saturday would be the 5th.
Ooh, yeah.
Grow Fest. They shut Manchester down from basically where that Quick Trip is to past Urban Chestnut in the Grove. And Manchester has a bunch of street vendors. They have a concert on both sides of it. They have two stages.
It's Van de Vender to Kings Highway.
Okay. Yeah. You're right. That is what it is. Hit it up. I mean, you can get a excellent drink. You can there's plenty of vendors. That's just my PSA point for your name here, point 3 of the day. Show up at a festival. You'll enjoy it.
Well, and the festivals down here, they don't have Chick-fil-A tents.
Yeah, they got sold tacos. They got good food.
Yeah, no offense to Chick-fil-A people. Your name here, point of the day, close this out before we roll out. On this date in 1990, which was why I kind of let us in with a little bit of the Nirvana. There was a couple dudes by the name of Kurt Cobain and Chris Novoselic, the bass player, by the way, that happened to go check out a local band who was coming through touring with the Melvins, and they were in need of a drummer, and they were like, damn, this drummer's pretty good. Well, that drummer was Dave Grohl. On this day, that's whenever Nirvana said, come here, kid, come with us. And then they broke up, and then he became the biggest band in the world with Foo Fighters. And then many, many years later, as of maybe 30 days ago, kind of got in a little bit of trouble, but he's a rock star.
Yeah, I'm okay with the trouble on the rock star side of things. And there's no denying his prowess at hit it harder, banging on the drums. Do you like Dave Grohl?
I do. I read his book.
You did?
Yeah, and the dude is a cool dude. And everybody makes mistakes. He made a big mistake. He owned it, said it. But
He's got a punchable face to me. I just don't. I mean,
I'll be honest, I was not a Foo Fighter fan. And then about 6 years ago, somebody said, hey, I got tickets to Foo Fighters. You want to go? And I'm like, I don't like them. They're like, well, it's in a suite. And I'm like, sure. Free food and beer. And I left 3 hours later like, damn, that's a rock band.
yeah.
But think about how lucky that guy is, right? He's on tour as a kid, having fun on the West Coast. Nirvana says, come with us. And then Nirvana obviously breaks up.
Does what they do.
And he starts the biggest band. It's 2 bands in a row where he's the biggest in the world. That's not normal.
Yeah.
Good on him. Soccer Dad Pod.
I like the this day in history points. That's what I try to hone in on. I didn't have time to do one, and you picked up the pace, or you picked up the slack.
We should do that. You know what we should do? We should call Missouri History Museum and see if they'll sponsor that segment.
Yeah, I'm Max Local Eats is who's going to do it. He just don't know it yet.
Hey, we'll be right back after this. Soccer Dad Pod, like, review, follow, share. We'll be talking all things soccer, primarily indoors this time. Catch you on the flip side.
The term staycation was really invented by soccer moms. Located 1 hour and 7 minutes from the Arch, the Music Box Chalet at Innsbruck is a hidden gem. Buried in 3 acres of private woods, the Music Box has a master suite for just you, a loft and second bath for them, and a vinyl collection to meet your every mood. The full-size kitchen will easily accommodate 3 to 12 bottles of rosé, while the huge fire pit seating area will keep the big kids busy. Golf, fishing, kayaking, pickleball, or simply reading a book with Mother Nature, all at your fingertips. Visit either VRBO or Airbnb to find the Music Box Chalet. And now, back to those guys.
Dave Grohl to this.
Yeah, mixing it up a little bit. I love this song, though.
This is a good song.
You know this one. Little Ziggy Stardust. Dave Bowie. Coming back across the pond. Going across the pond. We were on this side of the pond first. Dave Bowie, changing it up. See what I did there? Play with songs there. One day you need to walk in here and actually pick songs. We've done 170 something of these. You picked one.
Spiders and Snakes.
Spiders. It's your moment of glory.
That song's great.
Hey, we're back. Soccer Dad Pod. Time to chat with our guest today. As I mentioned pre-break, we're going to be talking more soccer. A lot of indoor this time. Joining us back with the ambush, Mr. Corey Adamson. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me.
So you've been sitting here for about 20, 25 minutes. How much do you absolutely regret saying yes to this interview?
Absolutely 0% so far. You guys got great beer, good conversation. It's been good music.
Yeah,
Been
there we go.
fantastic,
See,
so.
are you more of a David Bowie guy or a Nirvana guy?
Nirvana for sure.
There you go. See.
Yeah.
Do you know which generation you belong to? X, millennial?
I think I'm millennial.
I'm going to find this out right now because I'm just going to
37. So
Oh, you're
I
a
feel like
millennial.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of stuff.
Thanks for joining us, man. How's it been going?
It's been great. This off season has really been impressive from the office standpoint. We've done a lot of stuff that we've never done before, proved a lot of things off the field, and built a lot of really cool relationships, and seems to be catapulting forward.
So we are, at the time of this recording, we're mid-late September. Season kicks off November, I believe.
Yep. Black Friday.
How, looking out,
That's the day after Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just making sure you do.
Did you Google that?
And I'm Gen X.
Are you X?
Yeah, 79 is my birth. Is my birth.
that's
year. That's
X.
the last one.
Yeah.
So you're part of the squad, man.
Yeah.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, I was raised middle class.
Hey, Corey, could we trade you one Xer? No. 2 months out till Black Friday, which, according to Jared, is the Friday after Thanksgiving.
I believe you're right on that.
You got 2 months to go. Just 10,000 foot view. How do you feel about the team? the vibe going into it? Because I know that there was some recent, big news within the league, kind of a merger scenario. Where's the ambush 60 days out right now?
60 days out, we're about 4 weeks from preseason, 4 or 5 weeks from preseason. We just had an open tryout, which is just largely targeting our M2 team over the offseason. I was named head coach of the M2 team. So
Congrats.
Appreciate that. It's kind of it's like a MLS Next for indoor right there, just trying to get some homegrowns and
Player coach, or are you coaching?
Really don't know yet. I know I'm coaching, and I know that's primary one. Don't know if Locker's going to need me on one, or if he's, whatever's going to happen there. But I'm open to being an asset. However, I can be an asset. Right now, it's trying to develop these local guys, these local players into the future.
What's the goal? Like, is on the M2 side of it, is the goal to go young and local and try to get people early and develop them quickly to that first team, or what can you state the organization's goal and what your hire and what you're in charge of doing here with this second team?
Yeah. So indoor soccer, for anybody who's never played it at an extremely high level, is like the NHL, man. It's a different speed. It's a different technical. It's a different IQ. It's a different everything. It's a lot like what the NHL does. The M2 platform is what the NHL does with their first round draft picks. They send them down for a year, let them get their feet wet, let them get used to the physicality and the speed and the tactics. And then they have a good base to go show what they can do. End of last season, I think we brought up 4 or 5 guys from our M2 squad. They're all local guys that all got time at M1 and did really, really well there, and are likely going to be re-signed again for future contracts. So that's really what we're looking to try and do, develop the local talent here in St. Louis, which is just endless.
Yeah, and we'll get into that because I think it's interesting. You hit on it, and I'd like you to expand on that because I think the history of our indoor league here in North America, there's been a lot of perennial all-stars that really kind of set the bench and really tried to learn the game before they became all-stars in the league, because you were kind of mentioning the speed of the game. And it's a little bit different of a game coming in from 11v11. Let's say you're a 22-year-old kid and you were the Big Ten player of the year and you're going to go play indoor. Doesn't mean you're going to be the MISL player of the year, because it takes a little bit of adjustment period. Yeah. Speak on that a little bit, because I think that's an important part of the conversation.
Well, you could start all the way up at the top. Landon Donovan played for San Diego. He played 13 games. I think he registered 7 or 8 points in 13 games. And that's the leading goal scorer of all time, right? For the United States. One of the best players to ever come from the United States, if not the best. Now, you can say he was older, but in our league, the 2 highest scoring players in the league year after year after year after year, Ian Bennett and Frank Tayu. Ian Bennett's 42. Sorry for shouting him out like that, but still playing, still at a high level, still a top 3 goal scorer every year after year after year. So to have an extremely good outdoor player come in doesn't necessarily translate to an extremely good indoor player. It's a different game. It's different timing altogether. It's different speed altogether. It's different IQ altogether. And it requires a really, really specific skill set to be truly effective.
Which is where the M2 comes in handy, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah. So along those lines, we've spoke to a couple of your teammates, Will and Marcel, a little over a year ago. This was following their experience at TST. We also have recently had on the Dueling for Lincoln crew in a couple of episodes talking about their own experience. And I wanted to get your take on the TST tournament itself, because to your point, what you were just talking about, how the outdoor player transitioning to indoor, sometimes that's not smooth or it just doesn't happen at all. Well, here you have a pseudo outdoor, not pseudo outdoor, it is outdoor tournament, but it's small side, and then the decreasing players, smaller field, etc., where the last 2 years you've seen the indoor heavy teams really thrive.
Yeah.
Can you speak to your own opinion of TST and whether or not it is, I mean, I got to assume it's a benefit, but where do you see it as parlaying off of your league?
So first year TST, I took a team from Jackson, Mississippi there. I was the player coach for the Jackson Boom. And we were in the group with the two teams that made it to the semifinals. We made it there with Sneaky Fox, which was Nick Pereira and Ian Bennett, both stud, incredible MVPs and former MVPs of the indoor game. And then Zala, which was all MLS guys. And they both made it to the semifinals. We beat Zala, came back from a 3-0 hole and beat them. But what did it for us, and we just didn't advance because of goal differential. That was it. We caught Dempsey's team on the first day when nobody pulled a hamstring yet. So we ended up taking an overtime loss to them. By the end of that tournament, they had no legs and nobody healthy anymore. So they just got run over, and Zala went through on goal differential. But you know, for where it translates into the success versus not success, is that the small field tactics. I took indoor tactics, and the team that Will and Marcel were on, Newtown, that won it for the first year, that was all indoor tactics. It was the same high press situations. It was the same patterned movements to break pressure and break high press that absolutely killed them.
So, quick question then. Are you seeing a draw to the league from some of the TST players?
Oh, massively. So,
Okay.
I think anybody who played in that tournament is looking at teams like the Concaifa FC. That was Pat McAfee's team that a bunch of our players were on. And looking at Nani's team, and that was half. Yeah. That was Frank Tayu and half of the MASL on that team as well. They're looking at that.
The Mexican team.
The Mexican team was the team that basically won our league. Was Chihuahua.
Yeah, Chihuahua. Yeah, that's an indoor team.
Right. And now they're based out of Delaware, but primarily all guys in MASL.
They're there for legal reasons. You know, it's one of those LLC friendly states.
Real different passports for the vacation.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah. So, but there's anybody who played in that tournament's thinking, I want to play in this league. Like, these guys are ballers, man. These guys are fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that you're in the front office, I want to keep kind of following up on top of this. Now that you're in the front office, you're closer to a lot of more of the black and white decisions, the paper part of the process, as opposed to the, boots and balls, so to speak. Are you seeing a growth in advertiser interest, sponsor interest? Is that increasing? Are you seeing a byproduct of that along with what we were just discussing?
Massively. I think, just locally for us as a league, I'll speak out as a league first and then locally for us as a league, some of the things that they're going through right now and some of the things that they're doing, some of the names that they're bringing in, some of the people that are involved right now behind the scenes. Can't really get into a whole lot of it, but it's more than just exciting. It's revolutionary for the game and where the games currently sit.
So, okay, I'm going to ask one more, then I'm going to clear the way path here. And you don't need to name names, or you can just say I plead the fifth. When you have guys like Pat McAfee and some of the bigger names that were at that TST tournament who are now inevitably much more familiar with your league, where these players are coming from, the markets that they're in, the stadiums that you're playing in, arenas, etc. Are we potentially looking at short-term, mid-term, long-term, a little bit of that Wrexham effect, the Ryan Reynolds and Rob, getting into the 11v11 big game, in Europe? Is there the potential of pop culture leaning into it, stemming from kind of the pop of TST and then the legitimacy and kind of the foundation of the league?
I think that there is a lot of that is currently happening as we speak.
That's great.
That's one of it.
Yeah, this is interesting, man, because I'm excited because the indoor league is extremely entertaining. And I hope
everything that a U.S. fan could ever want.
This is a St. Louis Homer podcast. And we're very steamer centric. We're very about our history of our game here and why did it take so long to get a first team and all the things that we can sit here and talk about for hours. The St. Louis Steamers they broke down barriers in our indoor North American League, and they did it with guys from St. Louis. It'll never be that again. Let's just be honest. But Jeff, Shelly, you guys in the office, whether it's the M2 or it's the M1 team, how important is it for you guys to latch on to St. Louis players? And for just a simple byproduct of, if you're full of St. Louis kids, you're going to have more fans in the stands, which means more money and more revenue. How important is it to lean into our St. Louis pedigree here to build these teams?
I think it's vital. The shortest answer is it's vital, because St. Louis backs St. Louis, period. If you are one of us, you are one of us forever.
Yeah.
Forever. And I've been very fortunate to spend the majority of my 12 years here in St. Louis. I'm originally from Florida, but after going away, being traded, I spent 2 years as a player head coach in Memphis for a men's and a women's professional team down there. Coming back here was truly coming home. Florida's not home anymore. St. Louis is home now, and the people that I've met. And
I've seen you play. We'll take you. We like your grit.
I got plenty of that.
What part of Florida? Where'd you grow up in Florida?
Clearwater.
Yeah,
Clearwater.
So then the early days of your playing career, real quickly, kind of what did that path look like? Obviously club, high school.
Yeah, way
into
different
college.
than it is now. I mean, it was. I played for the Clearwater Chargers, and at the time,
I remember them.
yeah,
Tampa Sun Bowl.
Yep, the Sun Bowl, man. That's actually where I got recruited, was Sun Bowl, which is crazy. But it was 2 teams at every age group. It was 110 kids coming to try out for a team, and it was 3 spots every year. And if you were a bubble player, you had to go try out somewhere else. Like it was that kind of cutthroat kind of stuff that really developed a bite, and I think a lot of that grit. But today, kind of to your point where you were talking about earlier, is you got to get a reality check to some of these kids, because these clubs, most of them don't care. You're going to show up. They'll give you a jersey if you give them money. And some of these people are very sheltered within that ecosystem until a big coach comes up to them and says, "We're good.
Yeah.
You're not that good."
Yeah, no, I think
That's fair.
we've talked about this ad nauseum in the past. Youth soccer clubs in particular are really on a bell curve anymore. I mean, you've got you got your 1%ers, your 1 to 3%ers, and that number is arbitrary. That are the kids that are going to be on your academy and or are good enough and are being seen by higher level teams, and they're leaving. And then you have everybody on the other end that's the smaller 5% at the bottom, that they're probably there because the parents are making them be there and whatever. And then there's everybody in the middle. However, the loudest voices tend to be the parents that are in the middle, right?
Yeah.
So and we digress. Let's get back to you and the team. Jared was alluding to it, with kind of the growth mode, and it's weird to say that it's growth mode time because, indoor soccer has been here forever. But with the growth mode, what is the plan? What is the strategy to dip into our backyard in the 3-1-4? Because the volume of players that are out there has never been higher. So how do you, what's the strategy to A, let them know, B, find them, C, make the transactions happen?
Well, we do our open tryouts every single year. That's a big boost for us. I mean, I picked up between 8 to 10 guys from our last tryout this past month, and invited them out to trainings and preseason and stuff like that. And for my part at M2, I'm going to treat those guys just like an M1 team. I'm going to give them film. I'm going to give them requirements. I'm going to give them stuff to work on. I'm going to give them specifics. And it's on them to try and learn it and develop it. And I want to help that in any way I can. But
what kind of age? What age group of kids are we talking about?
We've got everything from 18 years old. I mean, fresh out of high school. Mm-hmm. I mean, or graduating this. Just graduated all the way through to. We've got some 25, 26.
So our listeners are clear. The 25, 26, they have broke away from the quote unquote mom's teat, if you will.
Yeah.
So these guys often are working jobs. So where does that dynamic come in as far as film and time spent? And I mean, because to be good at something, you can't do it half-ass or really even part-time.
Yeah.
So how much are you fighting that?
Well, I'm going to tell them exactly my story. So just a real quick run through. I played at a small D2 school at University of South Carolina, Aiken, and did my 4 years there. Got 2 degrees out of it. Said, I want to go play soccer. I don't want to do this thing. I don't want to do the real world stuff. I want to go play.
Yeah.
And I spent time on everything from MLS preseason rosters all the way down to PDL rosters and everything in between. I went to 19 open tryouts from 2010 to 2013. 19 open tryouts.
Wow.
And combines, MLS combine, USL combine, MISL combine, MASL now, but
Yeah.
went to all of them. And I was homeless. I lived out of my car. I drove everywhere I went. I had a job as a waiter and a bartender, so I can make whatever cash I had. Went to food and traveling to make these teams. So if you want it, it's there for you. But I didn't sign until I was 25.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, this was my last go at it was St. Louis. And there was 160 dudes in 2013 that came out to those tryouts. And, you know, I was fortunate enough that the stars lined up. Every time I did something good, a coach was watching. So they signed me. And, you know, I'm going to tell them the same thing. If you want this, you have to set your life up to be this
Figure
life.
it out, dude.
You've got to figure this out. I'll help in any way.
So what do you think it was? You know, these 19 tryouts and that process. You know, because you probably walked away from your school at 22.
Yeah, 22.
So that's 3 years of grinding it out. I have to assume there was a number of times where you're like, "Fuck," you know. Well, you know,
More than a few.
You know.
Yeah.
What do you think happened, or what made the difference at 25 in St. Louis at that tryout?
Daryl Duran.
You don't want to see. You don't want. Yeah, you don't want to make him mad.
Some good old Daryl, man. I'll tell you. Well, I think it was a lot of self-reflection. It was, okay, you told me no. Why did you tell me no? Like at every tryout, I would email that coach or email whatever contact I had from that tryout and say, what was the reason you said no? What was the reason I got cut? What was the reason? Like, give me something tangible. I'll never forget. When I went to the USL Combine. The coach was the coach for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds.
Oh yeah,
and he and you know, they have these little graded sheets and everything like that. And he rated me like a 2 on crossing, and I go, man, I feel like I got like 15 crosses. And he's like, yeah, but you're spraying them everywhere. So you know, if you can work on your crossing accuracy, you need to put it on somebody's face. You know, I was like, oh, all right, I'll go work on that. So I went
that's tangible feedback.
Exactly. I took all this tangible feedback, and I'd go to the field and I'd put a trash can from the field in the middle, like right on, like just inside the penalty spot and right in front of the 6. And I'd go until I hit it 50 times. I wouldn't go home until I did. And I just work on stuff like that. And I think that work over and over and over that course of 3 years made me from this, you know, wow, that kid sucks, man. He's small, he's tiny, he's not really, he's quick, but he's not that fast. You know, he's strong, but he's still small. Like, I just started going to the gym, I started working, and I just kept improving until I finally got a yes, and everything in St. Louis just fell into place for me. Everything. I mean, I scored the first goal in my first game in front of, you know, 7,000 people in the family arena. And it was like, from that point on, I was like, well, I'm addicted to this shit. I'm never gonna.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the homerism that we often tout, that being St. Louis soccer in general. You come here, you're a Florida kid, you're bouncing around. You go to this tryout, you meet Daryl Duran, you meet the rest of staff, and you play. And now you're in St. Louis for a little while. Inevitably, there were conversations and probably, you know, learning some new names or maybe some of the OG names, et cetera. What did you think about the soccer scene here as you slowly became part of it? Was it special to you? Was it just like, oh, no, okay, this is another city? You know, because we hear a lot of people that have either played through here or have landed here. Carl Rose, right? Mm-hmm. There's one in particular. Yeah. That there's something special in those stories. Do you have a something special story about St. Louis as well?
You know, I there's not just one thing, it's everything, because It is true. I mean, I told you I went to 19. That means I was in 19 different cities. I was in 19 different places, 19 different states that I visited. I spent extended time there. You know, preseasons there, half seasons there, whole seasons there, whatever it may have been. But there was no culture soccer wise like St. Louis culture. Kansas City's good, Chicago's decent, but they've got so many other things in Chicago. It's Chiefs country out in Kansas City. Like, it is soccer 100% through and through. Everybody's blood here.
Just look at the adult leagues.
It's insane. It's insane. You couldn't have the Veta platform, I don't think, anywhere else, because there's not that big of a need for that many indoor places. But here, every single one of them is packed. Yeah. Every one of them's packed every single day, every single night. It's crazy. Yeah. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and you can go to the local park in O'Fallon, Missouri, or Chesterfield on a Sunday morning, and there's 27 ex-D1 players on 2 fields.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and then North County just had that 3v3 tournament, the OG tournament. I mean, it's nonstop. It's year round,
all the time.
Yeah, so let me ask you a part B to that question. You know, because again, I mentioned inevitably there were a lot of names starting with Daryl. You know, kind of at the top there. What's another name of somebody that maybe either took you under their wing?
Jeff DiMaria.
Or there you go, easy enough.
Well, Dima was what I attribute most of my success to DiMaria. To be honest with you, he may not know this, but he's that guy. He's one of the most professional people I've ever met in my life. The guy jumped onto the field with us in 2013. I think he was like 37, and was one of the fittest guys on the team.
He wasn't that old in 2013.
Yeah, he would.
No, hell no, dude.
I think he was.
Yeah, he is 40.
That was 11 years ago. He's probably 46.
37, 35.
35.
35-ish.
Okay.
Yeah,
You guys are better at math than me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's...
Millennials can't do math.
Us Gen Xers over here.
See, I traded you. You want that trade now.
Okay. I get it.
He was, he was one of the older guys on the team, obviously. I think he was the oldest guy on the team, but his leadership style, his work ethic, I mean, he was a constant engine. He was everything. He was like the version that I am now, or I saw myself being at his age. But he gave me straightforward, very just solid advice. We were getting on, the first time I got traded, it was my second year to Milwaukee, which was like going to the Yankees, man. It was crazy when I heard that they were calling for me, because they had just all-star after all-star after all-star after like superhero in MASL on that roster, so deep. And I heard they're hunting for me. It was a contract year for me, and we're coming back from Detroit. And before we get on the bus, by the way, Tim Kelly played that game in Detroit. I believe we won 7-6.
TK.
So, TK. We lost like all of our goalkeepers to like ACLs and stuff, and then we had to call Tim Kelly. Like Daryl called TK. I think maybe the day before the game. I don't even think he got a practice.
He was probably at some Fish concert in like wild. Omaha or something.
I gotta find a babysitter for Leeds.
So the guy shows up. The guy shows up to the bus. He shows up to the bus with Smugs, and Daryl. They all like, I don't know if they rode together or whatever, but they all get out of the car together carrying 15 cases of beer, like 15, 30 racks of beer. I don't think they let any of us touch it. They just killed 3 of them. I think it was a case apiece. But before I get on the bus, the owner comes up to me and says, "Hey, I need you to sign that contract," which is a garbage contract. I didn't want to sign it. And, or I'm going to trade you. I need your answer by tomorrow morning. We have this overnight drive back from Michigan. And I was like, okay. So of course, everything's going so well for me here in St. Louis. I'm like really torn. Like, this is a crazy thing. So I go to Jeff and I was like, "Hey Jeff, did you ever get traded?" And he's like, he tells me all the stories. And I was like, "Well, Andrew said Milwaukee wants me." He's like, "Dude, we're not making playoffs. Who gives a shit? Go." I was like, "Yeah, but I've got all these things." He's like, "Do you think if you go to Milwaukee and you win a championship, you think anybody you're going to come back? You're not going to be able to come back here?" I said, "Oh, okay, sure." So ever since then, I think any time I ever had a question about anything, I always went to Demo. I think he was the big one. But
that's awesome.
I mean, Mosier has always been around as well. Everybody's been around. They've been fantastic.
Demo's one of those guys. I mean, it's so much fun to be around him.
Yeah,
because he's just chill.
Yeah.
And then you know he's a baller. I mean, anybody that's been around, you're like, okay, this dude can ball.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break here. We'll be back with more Corey and my millennial, my Gen X friend. Like, review, follow, share. Hit us up. And when we come back, more indoor soccer plus. You got to stick around for the plus. We'll see you on the flip side. Are you an event planner for your city, your nonprofit, the company, your soccer club, or the HOA? Looking for a beverage solution that is professional and keeps people out of your kitchen? On the Rocks Beverage Company. They've got you covered. From beer to bourbon to seltzers and slushies, they can manage, pour, and mix it all. Bonus, Jared might be the smiling face popping those tops for you. So go to On the Rocks Beverage Company on Facebook or Instagram to address your party's liquid needs.
Elmer Fudd
Yep. I love this guy. It's cartoon day, baby. Second half. Play a little, felt like an arena type song. What's your buddy, the DJ over there?
DJ Peru. That's my boy, dude.
DJ Peru's the man.
I love that.
He's one of the coolest dudes I've met.
He's very sensitive.
Is he?
I give him so much shit though.
Yeah.
I have a really good relationship with him. He just got a new boat too, mind you. So he's doing some things, man.
Yeah,
so I mean, he must be making a lot of money DJing.
I'm sure that's what it is.
It's not what it is. It is not what it is.
I swear he's at like
Or in crypto.
every
Right?
maybe. He's at like every event that we go to.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Guy's everywhere. He's incredible.
Soccer Dad Pod, we're here with Corey Adamson from The Ambush. Round 2 with The Ambush, right? Is this round 2 or round 3? St. Louis.
3.
Round 3.
Yeah, I got traded.
Well, I got to ask one question
time.
before we branch back into soccer, since we're just bullshitting. There's all these multi-sport athletes out there. You're a field goal kicker. Professionally.
And receiver. Yeah, I played arena football for 4 years. And
talk about that.
Yeah.
Did you make any money? Did you get your head knocked off? Because in that sport, you do get your head knocked off. Did you love it? Like, I mean, I just having that experience, knowing a little bit that I do know about you. I mean, you can probably kick the football a long way, but most soccer guys can. But how was it like the same ownership? I mean, talk about that.
So there was the first year that I played for the St. Louis Attack. It was the same ownership as the Ambush, and it was amazing. I mean, we had NFL draft picks that were on there. We had a squad. We made it to the finals. I actually kicked us. We were in Florida. I got to play in front of my grandma, which is crazy. But kicked us into the championship game, won kicker of the year that year. I led all kickers and tackles, which is the most important statistic to me.
That is phenomenal, dude.
I had 7 tackles that year, 7 tackles, and I almost got a forced fumble, but
was there a contract bonus for that?
No. Unfortunately, not.
Did they pay for your spikes?
Not even like in Florida. Did you not get like a gallon of orange juice or something? You know, nothing?
nothing crazy from that ownership group. But it was so much fun. They trained me, as a wide receiver as well. So I was a backup wide receiver. I caught 3 passes.
Little slot guy.
Yeah. I caught 2 bubble screens and got a PI on a post. So
Nice.
for me that's pretty good. But I got on one screenplay. My receiver took the safety instead of the guy standing, right in front of him. It was a cornerback. He stood me up for 3.5 seconds, and then all I remember is I looked to my left and I see 3 Mack trucks coming at me and absolutely obliterated me.
So how's CTE?
Oh, it's been great. I get to wake up a different person every day, and I have an excuse to go post crazy stuff on Twitter if I want to, but I haven't exercised that one yet. But yeah, I played for 3 other years. The last year I played, the money was great for like 3 games, and then it ran out, and then after that,
what do they pay you by game, or do they pay you?
So my contract was per game, but if you play, it was for me it was $500. If I scored 7 points or more, it was another 300, and if we won, it was another 200.
So you can make $1,000.
I could make $1,000. Yeah,
per game. That's not bad.
Yeah.
I would do that.
No, it was awesome. It was so much fun.
That is awesome.
It was so much fun.
That's an interesting stat for our listeners. We got the coach of the M2 ambush squad, also professional football player. How about that?
With CTE.
With a healthy dose, not too much, not too much, just enough.
Hey, let's go back to a little bit of the coaching side of thing. Because you were alluding to kind of the process, the recruiting and what you're looking for on the M2, and and obviously within the org, you're filling the first team too. And we were talking about the compare contrast outdoor indoor guys that don't can't make the transition. We've said generically that it's different. Most people assume, well, it's faster, it's smaller space. Talk a little bit about, though, like you as a coach and a scout, and and now you're recruiting. What is the kind of player you look for? Because when we think of 11v11, we all kind of have the same general expectations of a player, from the 4 pillars. What are the pillars in your world from an indoor perspective?
Number one is the technical ability. If you don't have the technical ability, it doesn't matter. I don't care how smart you are, how fit you are, strong you are, big you are. If you don't have that technical side to play in real tight spaces and close quarters, you're not going to make it, because the game is so fast paced. And the reason why the game's so fast paced is because everybody is so technical. So when you're that technical, your decision making goes from pretty quick to lightning fast, and that's what it has to be. A lot of stuff looks like chaos, but it's very, very controlled chaos in these indoor games. And it's controlled because every time you're on the ball or anytime you're making a run, you're not thinking about receiving the ball. You're not thinking about your first touch or the pressure on your back. You're thinking about what you're doing next, or setting up a second pass. So like, just a bump pass. I give it to you, bump it back, and I'm hitting the guy that's making a run right now behind you, type of scenario. So that's number one. And then give you something challenging, something that's going to make you critically think very fast. And if you can handle that, I can teach you the rest.
Decision making is very important, because in that game, it's interesting to me that, okay, you can be technical, but if you lack decision making, and when you turn the ball over because of your lack of technical ability or because you make bad decisions and it's a track meet the other way, goals happen quickly. So it's interesting that you said the first 2 pillars, and I'll let you keep going here, but when you watch the games, it's just like head and hands when, we make a bad decision, and then it's 2v1 and on Paulo.
Yeah. You might be the fastest dribbler out there, but you're not going to beat 2 guys. And if you're running 3v3 one way, that means it's 2v2 the other way. Is the 3v3 going forward your best 3v3 option? Do you need to keep the ball? How long have you been defending? Have you been on the field for 3 minutes? Or have you been on the field for a minute and a half? Are you guys fresh? If you're not, have you just defended? Are you winning? Like, what's the point in the game? So the decisions to either go forward or keep the ball and get subs, or take a shot from this angle, or look for a pass from this point of the field, those only come with reps and decision making that is at like the highest level of critical thinking.
So let's talk a little bit about the preparation for that. Then let's assume there's some ear holes on this episode of potential players that are looking to come to kick-arounds, tryouts, etc. How do you train for that? Is there a way, in your experience, for someone that maybe is super technical, super fast, but what can you do to train for that? Because again, the compare contrast to the outdoor game, there's virtually 9 million drills that a player can train on individually for that kind of environment.
Right.
What about in your world?
It's M2. It's reps and reps and reps and reps and reps in film. So you can get all the reps in the world, but if you're not looking at, okay, how is this scenario different from this other scenario where this worked, but now this one didn't, we just gave up a goal to 3v2 the other way. It's decisions that are only developed through seeing it over and over and over again, and understanding timing, understanding movements, understanding lanes, understanding all those types of things that make a player that's going to make it in this league, or a player that's, you're better off outdoor.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting also that I'd like you to speak on from just playing at a rec or like even a money tournament as an adult in the indoor game. You can be technical. I think fitness is key. Decision-making is also key. We've outlined that. But how important is it to get 5 or 6 players on the field that can match up 1v1? Because at some point, this becomes a matchup game. And if you have a kid out there or a guy or an adult or whatever it is that is technical, that is good with the ball, is a good decision maker, but if he can't defend 1v1, he's useless for you.
Yeah.
So like identifying when to change and when to play defense, and because everything is odd man rushes, and I've always struggled in the indoor game because of my fitness. I was just out there I wasn't fit enough.
Yeah.
But like if you're fit enough, how important is defending in this game?
It's paramount. I mean, the statistic of if you give up 4 goals or less in a game, your chance of winning goes up by like 85%. It's crazy. So then
with Paulo, you probably even have a higher chance.
And because there's so many opportunities to score. Mm-hmm. The ball doesn't go out of bounds. If you're 3v2 going this way and you don't score, what is it behind you? Mathematically, 2v1, you're gone. So it's an odd man rush going the other way. It's 3v2 the other way. So you can't you can't overemphasize how important defending is. I think at the tryout, I said there's a lot of rules to this game, but rule 1, number 1, first and foremost, is 5 guys behind the ball. We got 5 players out here. All 5 of you have to be behind the ball because nobody's good enough 1v1. That's the answer. You're never 1v1. You're never even.
Right.
Those walls are an extra player. You're always down a man playing indoor. If you don't have the ball, you're always down a man because they can use the boards. They can draw you all the way out to your yellow line. You can dump it off the boards and behind them, gain possession, bring it back. You can
your
do
goalie
so many
that
things.
steps up into the play, that's good with his speed, is a huge.
It's a game changer. And that's going back to the TSD topic. That's exactly why Newtown won their first year, was because they were super intense. They moved the ball fast. They had a great goalkeeper that could play the ball with their feet, keep possession, and it was like the other teams were always a man down because of that.
Yeah. So we've name dropped him a few times, and you literally just talked about the Newtown experience for Paulo in particular.
Yeah.
Talk about him as the goalie.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
He's getting old.
He's actually look at his hair though, man. His hair.
He's actually older than me. He's listed at 38.
What's it like having him back there? Because he's he's a special person, period. But as a player, I mean, we've been a few times. I mean, the dude is a baller.
If anybody's ever, anybody who's been through here who has played against him in training or played against him in game will tell you he's one of the best goalkeepers that's ever graced the sport ever. I always think about this. We've been very unfortunate here in St. Louis to not really have that championship level talent. Or a championship level season. I would argue that we've had that talent before, but it's never really come together up to this point. And had he been on any other team, he'd be regarded as the best, the number 1, maybe of all time. I mean, that's how good this guy is. And as good as he is on the field, he's one of the most amazing human beings off the field, which makes you just want to sacrifice anything for the guy. I mean, you want to just defend harder, you want to play harder, you want to win for him. I know that goes not only for me, but for most of the players that's ever played with him. It's such a cheat code to be able to use him and trust him when you're in a bind. Some of the presses are so good and are so intense that you can't dribble out of it. You can't find a pass out of it. They're playing too tight. They're playing up ahead of you. You're either risking a turnover on a long ball or Superman Paulo comes to the rescue and bails you out because he's so damn good with the ball.
Technical. I think he gets that from that South American futsal.
Oh, yeah.
He'd be the first one to tell you that.
That might have something to do with it.
Big time. I mean, he was really one of the first ones that all of a sudden everybody's going for futsal goalies. Him and Danny Waltman. Danny Waltman played for the U.S. futsal national team, and I think those were the guys that they go, wow, we got to start using these guys more in indoor. I mean, they changed the rules like 6 years ago, I think, to limit the amount of touches that goalkeepers had because they were just getting so good.
It's funny you say change the rules. If we had Daryl sitting here in this fourth chair, Daryl would tell you they change the rules every year that they won.
Yeah.
I mean, they just changed the rules to not benefit St. Louis.
Yeah. Well, this one they claim was more aimed at William Vanzella in Baltimore because Will is amazing with the ball at his feet too. He's not quite as athletic as Paulo, so he doesn't get up the field as much, so he doesn't get the credit for that. But he's a great distributor. He's so calm on the ball. You can press him, but you can't get the ball from him. Paulo's the exact same way. You can press him, but he may dribble out of it.
That's awesome.
Like he might dribble between your legs and take off and score. I think he scored a goal every single year for the last 4 or 5 seasons.
I like watching his goal celebrations. Like, just go on YouTube and watch Paulo's. I mean, he's so
it's
intense. Like he scored when he was 10 years old, when he was playing at the halftime of the Steamers. I mean, he goes nuts. It's
He's
awesome.
so excited.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
you know?
like
I
the
mean,
one
he's
he did.
living the life.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So let's talk a little bit about season expectations.
Yeah.
You know, we're 60 days out from the start, which again, what day?
Black Friday.
There you go.
Day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've got this nailed.
Yeah.
I'm not going to the game. I'm going TV shopping.
Sorry, we got another one. I know we got another one the
Just
20th.
kidding.
We definitely got another one 20th. It's in the afternoon. Get your TV early and then,
That's my nap time, dude. I'm up early in the line.
Let me introduce you to this little invention called Amazon Prime.
it's incredible stuff.
I don't go to Black Friday. I'm just joking.
Talk a little bit about the expectations for the
Yeah.
season. We've been talking macro about process and players and
Yeah.
differences, but for the most part, you guys have a roster. Maybe a few gaps here or there that are maybe TBDs.
Yeah.
After last year, you know what you had. You know what you're going in with. What can a reasonable fan coming out? What's the expectation this year from the team?
Bringing Mo back is huge. Lucas is back again. He's been a perennial every year for us. Dylan Hundelt, which is Kevin's son, sorry, back in the Steamer days. Dylan's back for us. He was the captain in Utica the last, I think, 2 seasons actually. Phenomenal player too. And we're talking to a couple others that are big fish. So if we can land a couple of those, I think, you've got to really start talking about deep runs. But I think our expectation is to be significantly better than last year. I mean, I think we definitely have the roster. We definitely have the players. We have a lot of guys that got great amount of time last year that by the end of this season would be considered kind of like veteran status at this point because of the amount of game times they've been able to get. And the maturation that they had just in the 1 year last year, I think is huge. So I don't like getting into numbers, but I feel very, very confident in a very strong showing this year. There's roster to roster. I don't think there's any reason why we shouldn't be considered as a playoff or bust type of a team. I mean, this it really should be for us.
I got one question. Can you confirm? Can you just stamp it? Can we just beat the Kansas City team? I mean, like,
Yeah.
that's
Technically,
my most,
that's all that matters.
Really, as long as we just beat. That's what I always say too. Like my favorite wins of all time are always against Kansas City. I loved it. I loved every one of them. Every last one of them felt good.
So many of our listeners know because I'm really kind of insufferable when it comes to dogging on Kansas City, everything Kansas. Talk a little bit about what that rivalry means to the indoor game, because there's a lot of us generationally, we remember the Comets, right?
Yep.
From Steamers days.
Yeah.
Fast forward to now, is it elevated? Is it the same? Is it lesser? Is the respect not there? I mean, because they got the stupid blue turf. Don't they have blue turf?
Yeah, they do.
It's dumb. What is that, like Idaho?
I'll tell you, it's tough.
Baltimore has that blue turf, and it's like a
Utica,
little baby
Utica,
field.
Utica. Yeah,
Where's
Utica's
the
got
baby field at?
That's Baltimore, but they got a green field.
Oh, it's
there.
green?
It's tiny.
It is itty bitty.
So talk a little bit about that rivalry,
Yeah.
kind of where it stands today, or is it more just we fabricate it? Because I mean,
No, it's for this generation at least, it's a matter of circumstance. We get Kansas City 6 times every single season, and when you play somebody that much, you just hate their fucking guts. Like you just hate them.
yeah, because
There's nobody.
That's a
there's-
lot of banging bodies.
I hate
the same bodies.
I'll tell you, I
I've played
never,
Kansas City for 20 years, and I hate their guts.
I never once enjoyed a game against Kansas City. Like I
always
think I
did because
finished
I never
every
lost
game.
to 'em, but,
I think every game. I think every game. I would end angry. Like I scored the overtime winner in our home opener. We had a home opener a couple of years ago. I scored the overtime winner against them, and I remember vividly being in the locker room still angry. Like I was still mad at them. Like it was one of those things. They've always got guys that are chippy and a little bit bitchy and a little bit, yeah. Just
Can't
all
play
those guys.
soccer.
They got everybody.
Yeah,
Now
wearing
I'm
jean
cool.
shorts.
When we get off the field,
Girls are huge.
It's because of that shitty barbecue sauce.
Charles Barkley over here
I-
talking about the women in Kansas City.
No, they deserve that. I told you earlier, like they hate me.
Big women and barbecue that lacks flavor.
I will say that is the most overrated barbecue I've ever had in my life.
So we just had Matt Seebeck on previous episode. He was in here the other day, and we were talking about that. And St. Louis City has rolled out literally its own proprietary barbecue sauce.
Really?
And he didn't say exactly, but I have a feeling Gerard Kraft and a few people that know a little bit about food were in on this thing.
Yeah.
And it's literally called The Sauce.
Okay.
Like, and trolling.
Good. It needs to be.
And it says on the label, this is a specialty sauce,
Mm-hmm.
first batch for City SC versus SKC, September, blah, blah, blah.
You could leave it out in the sun for.
Are they going to call it the barbecue? Is that
Barbecue.
like what are we calling the Darby? I mean, why are we doing barbecue sauce? It has to be the barbecue.
The barbecue. I love that.
I don't know what we're calling it.
We need shirts for that.
But he said something that made sense. It's like, here's the difference. And nobody ever thinks about it. He goes, little known fact, St. Louis is the number one consumer of barbecue sauce in the world. And Kansas City's not even on. And the reason is, he's like, the reason why in Kansas City you go to barbecue. In St. Louis, you barbecue.
Right.
And I never thought about it that way. Yeah, I mean, Mr. Blackstone Green Egg over here.
Yeah, I do a lot
buddy.
of barbecuing, but I mean, and I got to just call a spade a spade. If I'm a Kansas City guy listening to this, they're yelling at us right now saying,
I don't care.
Well, the reason you guys use so much barbecue sauce is because your barbecue's junk. Because for me, if I barbecue good, you need no sauce.
And the reason they go out to buy it is because none of them can cook. It's like, how do you mess up slow and low, right?
They find a way.
They do. They're awful.
It's terrible. It's the sauce. It's the sauce.
yeah, and again, blue turf.
Yeah.
Who thought that was a good idea?
It looks sharp, but I'll tell you, it's really tough to play on. Like it trips your eyes out. Because we play with the yellow ball, so it's like that yellow on the blue turf is kind of crazy.
Well, what's the college football team that does that? Idaho or
Oh my
Boise.
God. Boise.
yeah, it is,
Boise.
right?
Boise State.
It's like
They were
this is
I think they were the first ones, weren't they? Boise was the first ones to get that blue turf, and then all of a sudden everybody's going to different colored turfs.
Speaking of different color, we're totally off the rails here. But my alma mater, Granite City High, right? The brand new tennis courts. The middle court portion is Granite City red, and then the perimeter is black. So they did a drone video. I'm like, what is that? I mean, it looks like kind of an odd checkerboard. It's the tennis courts.
That's crazy.
Can you imagine playing tennis on that? Can you imagine how hot that is in the summertime?
Yeah, but I mean, tennis is a fall sport, so you're fine.
Well, I saw the pickleball lines on there too. I'm like, oh my God.
Yikes.
Well,
Do you play pickleball, by the
I
way?
do not, no.
Yeah.
I don't play half sports.
It is a half sport.
Yeah. Sorry to anybody that got offended by that, but
Kale over at SIU is a big pickleball.
Oh,
player.
he's about
Do
to
something
text it. Oh,
legit.
look, he just texted. It's a real sport.
Beat Lindenwood and come talk to us about pickleball.
So time off. I mean, you're about to not have a lot of it, but when you do have it,
yeah.
You know, St. Louis is your adopted home.
Yeah.
What's your go-to?
When I like around here, where do I go to?
Food, drink, entertainment. You want to disappear? Are you kind of
Yeah.
like are you a dive bar guy, or are you like, nah, I'm gonna go?
Man,
run
I'll go
7
anywhere. I
miles
love
at Forest
Soulard.
Park?
Obviously, I love anything in Soulard. Everything you go to in Soulard is amazing. Soulard's fantastic. I love 360. If I'm trying to have like a classy night or just watch a baseball game, I'm going to 360. I'm not going to the game. I'm going to 360. But Pepper Lounge just down the street.
Yeah.
One of my favorite all-time places.
JT.
Yep. One of my favorite all-time
Do you ever
places.
hit Game 6 or the honky tonk?
No.
Are you a country guy?
I am not. I'm a country girl guy.
Well, then game honky tonk on
There it is.
Broadway. A little insight.
Okay.
I just
We
go
got
to
you covered
Nashville.
It's just so much better.
Just drive 5
It's just so much better.
Back to JT because I need is JT is he back with the club?
Yeah. JC's coming back again this year.
He's a fellow Bear. So
Yes, he is.
He
I was
gets
gonna
it.
say, yeah.
Hey, let's not go with acronyms and initials. JT, say it for the listener.
James Thomas. Timothy Thomas.
but he goes by
JT Thomas.
And he owns the Pepper Lounge, which
Yeah.
we need to have him on and do it
Yeah.
at the Pepper Lounge.
You guys absolutely should do it at the Pepper Lounge for sure.
We could do that.
Santos does all their stuff there.
Yeah, they do. So last question, then we're going to let you get out of here, or maybe we'll go have beers or something like that.
Yeah.
The parlay. You know, we've been talking about kind of the growth of the game in general. We alluded to it in the college game in the intro, talking about the growth of your league. You know, here in St. Louis now, you've been here long enough to know you've seen the attempts and the failures to have and obtain an MLS team, but now we have one. How cool is it to be kind of in the soccer capital? And this is for you, Kansas City people.
Yeah.
In the soccer capital, you guys are banging. MLS is banging here. We have that stadium. You guys got new deals. You got new renovation at Family Arena.
Yep.
How cool is it to just be part of the fabric?
It's it's ground level. It's amazing. I feel this truly is for me. I truly believe this is the soccer capital of the United States. There's nobody else there that seems to be putting up numbers the way we put up numbers around soccer. Whether it's men's or women's, it doesn't really matter. So just being a part of this has been the best chapter of my life, by far the best chapter of my life. Been very fortunate.
You know, in closing for me, I just good luck to you, Corey. I'm pulling for you. I'm a fan favorite of yours when you played. I remember playing adult stuff with you. You're a great player. You're a great guy. I hope the Ambush does great. I'm pulling for Jeff and team. Let's fill the Family Arena. I mean, let's figure out what we can do to fill it, and a lot of that starts with you idiots. Get some winners on the field.
Yeah. I think we got a good
That's
few
awesome.
years ahead of us.
That's awesome, man. Good luck to you, man. And
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. So for those of you that are listening, go to stlambush.com. It's early. Get your tickets early because eventually the fall season is going to be winding down for your kids, and you're going to want them out of your goddamn house. Well, there's a big house in St. Charles called Family Arena.
DJ Prue's got tunes going too, man.
And apparently he's got a boat too.
Yeah.
So just send your kids down to the DJ booth, ask for a boat ride.
We're doing a 3v3 too. I forgot to mention that. We're doing a 3v3 the week before our home opener.
Like a youth event?
Yeah.
So I just
Youth
pulled
3v3 actually. It's going to be on the 23rd of November. The rules are pretty freaking cool. If the games are tied at the end, we go down to 2v2 overtime and then 1v1 until somebody scores.
TST.
Yep.
Little flavor.
Much like that. Is there a prize, or is it just like come out, have fun? or-
All the champions get honored at our home opener at halftime. They get to parade around the field, get a bunch of claps.
Does it give us the age groups? Does it have it?
So we go U8 age group, U8, 10, 12, and 14.
Wow, that'll be
Boys,
fun.
girls.
We need to get
competitive
Max a
advance.
team.
Mad Max, are you going to coach?
No,
Player coach?
no.
Everybody's getting a free ticket to that. Or all the players are getting free tickets to the home opener too. So
All right. Well, hey, everybody, stlambush.com. Go check it out. Follow them on all their socials. Got the season coming up. It's going to be a fun one. Corey, thank you very much for joining us, man.
thank you guys.
Appreciate that we settled the Gen X millennial debate. And until next time, like, review, follow, share. We will catch you next time. Jared, I'll give you an A- today, buddy.
Okay, thank you.
Bumped you up.
See ya.